Yes. Yes, beta.
I
Start with
don't know.
question number 1, Ketan.
Ma'am, I have not read this yet.
Okay, Gurveer, beta, you start with question number 1.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, from the Iron Master part or from the beginning?
Yes, from the Iron Master part. First part we have already discussed on that day
Yes, ma'am.
about
Yes,
the
ma'am.
kindness and the hospitality shown by the crofter,
The
and what
the
was the
Iron Master treated.
by the crofter, that we have already discussed. Now you start with the kindness and the hospitality shown by the Iron Master and his daughter, and the peddler's interpretation for that.
Yes, ma'am. So the Iron Master thought that the peddler was an old acquaintance, so he treated him really well. He asked him to he invited him to his home for the Christmas Eve and to stay there for a while until the situation gets better for him. But the peddler first refused him. But then Iron Master's daughter came and she convinced him again, so he agreed to join them for the Christmas Eve. When the Iron Master when the peddler got well dressed, the Iron Master knew that he wasn't the person he was expected him to be. So he said him to leave immediately his house. But the daughter unexpectedly to help him, and she against the Iron Master's will, she asked him to stay and celebrate the Christmas Eve with him. But in return, the peddler also showed kindness to them as he returned the 30 kroner he had taken from the crofter, and also gifted the girl a rat trap with a letter.
Yes, that means here the interpretation of the peddler was also quite right. He also paid the same honor and respect to Iron Master's daughter for her kindness and hospitality. But in the case of the crofter, he did not show that honor and respect that he was given by the crofter. He just cheated him, he stole the money. But here he was paying the same respect and honor. There was change in his attitude. He realized that he was treated just like a captain and he need to reply in the same tone also. So he got his goodness back by the kind and sympathetic attitude of the Iron Master's daughter. Here, yes, coming to the second question. Better raise hands quickly so that we should not waste the time for this. Yes. Jesse clear. Yes, beta. Second question.
Yes, ma'am. What are the instances in the story that show that in many ways? So there are many instances in the story that show that character of Iron Master is different from that of his daughter. So first of all, as soon as in the Ramso Mills, when the Iron Master he got sight of a man, he instantly came to a conclusion that that guy is same old regiment comrade and he mistook him for that man, and he immediately invited him to join them on the Christmas Eve. And he was also sorry for his pitiable situation. But when the true identity of the peddler was revealed, then instantly he changed his behavior towards the peddler. He threatens him and he asked him to get out of his house because he was not the person that he was assuming it to be. Then on the other hand, talking about her daughter Edla, she is totally different from her father, because in the story there are many instances in which it is shown that she is quite shy and she talks in a friendly manner, and in she talks in a friendly manner. When the true identity was revealed, his father asked the peddler to go out of his house, but Edla opposed the decision, and she argued that it was a Christmas Eve and we should not turn anyone away from her house empty stomach. So she showed a faithful behavior towards the peddler.
Yes. Any other difference you find in the character of Iron Master and his daughter instead of their
Yes,
kind
yes,
and
ma'am.
generous attitude?
Yes, ma'am. One difference is also there, that the Adla, she in the chapter it is seen that she is a keen observer, because once she looked at the peddler in the forge, she came to conclusion that he was frightened. So she thought that the peddler, he must have escaped from the jail, or he have stolen something.
Yes. This is another point. One more point is that when we were told that Edla Wilmanson has more convincing power than the Iron Master. She was able to convince the peddler, whereas Iron Master was not able to. She talked in such a friendly way that the peddler was convinced to go to their farmhouse, whereas when Iron Master appealed and begged and requested, he refused every time. So there are so many incidents through which we get all these three differences in their attitude, their behavior, her kind and generous attitude, her observation power, and her convincing power. For all these three, you can give the examples from the text. Yes, coming to the next question. Yes, raise your hands quickly. Next question. Yes, Tisha beta. Tisha, question number 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Beta, is the screen
The
visible?
story has many. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
The story has many instances of unexpected reactions from the characters to others' behavior. Pick out instances of these surprises. The first instance is that of the crofter's hospitality to the peddler. The rat trap peddler was never welcomed by anyone, and when and he was surprised when the crofter showed him his friendly behavior, and the peddler was also surprised at the sudden invitation given by the Iron Master, who was shocked to realize his mistake in recognizing the peddler the next day.
Yes.
The most unexpected reaction from the peddler when he leaves the package and the letter for Edla, showing gratitude to the girl's hospitality and respect for him.
Yes, before this, we also got surprised when she came to know about the reality. But even then, she goes against the wish of her father. Her father did not want that he should stay there, the peddler should be kept in their home. But Edla Manson was adamant and she insisted and convinced her father to make him stay for the Christmas Eve and let them enjoy the celebration of the Christmas. So we got surprised there also how she was willing to keep that person who was a thief, who had stolen the money and was not the same person who the father had recognized, a stranger for them, and how she is ready to make him adjust in their family. So we got so many unexpected reactions from the different characters and their behavior in the story. Yes, coming to the next question. Aditi beta. Yes, Aditi. Next question.
Yes, ma'am. What made the peddler finally change his ways? The act of kindness and hospitality that was shown by Ironsmith's daughter to the peddler changed his ways. The Ironsmith's daughter invited the peddler to spend Christmas Eve with them. He sent with her to the manor house. When the Iron Master realized that it was wrong to mistake him as an old acquaintance, he got angry and asked the peddler to get out of his house. But she opposed his decision and showed compassion for the peddler. The girl's sympathetic attitude, her hospitality, changed a deep impression on the peddler. So he surrendered the stolen money in the package to Iron Smith's daughter. He also wrote a letter and requested the money to the old crofter. That he was
Yes,
he's a
very
completely
good.
changed man.
you need to be brief if the question comes in the short questions. Okay, then you have to tell only about the sympathetic and generous attitude of Edla made the peddler finally change his ways, because the girl is shown with the Christian qualities, humanitarian qualities. She did not want that anyone who is hungry should go in the same way. That means not being fed on the special days, just like Christmas on the festival eve. So she felt that a person should at least relax and have peace and full meal for that one day. This becomes the duty of human beings to feed the poor persons and needy persons, and even to the animals and the birds also. This is given in the Christianity or in the humanitarian feelings. Okay. You have to be brief if we are given the question in the short form. And if it is in the long form, then you can explain the explanation, give the whole explanation. Okay. Next, Gurpreet. Gurpreet, next question, beta.
Yes, ma'am. How does the metaphor of the rat trap serve to highlight the human predicament? Uh, in the story, the rat trap, the peddler goes around selling small rat traps made of wine. Thinking of his rat traps, he was struck by the idea, nothing but a rat trap. He thought that the world had never existed for any other purpose than to set baits for the people, joys and shelter and food, heat and clothing, exactly as the rat trap offered cheese and pork. As soon as anyone let him be tempted to touch the bait, it closed in on him, and then everything came to an end. This is how the metaphor of the rat trap served to highlight the human predicament.
Yes, very good explanation. We got the metaphor of the rat trap in this chapter to highlight the human predicament, what we think, what philosophy we have in our mind, that is explained to us through this metaphor, as the peddler explained, that this word is only attracting and tempting the people to be involved or to be trapped in this world. All the materialistic possessions are just like the bait, and this whole world is just like a rat trap, and the human beings are considered as rats. And more attractions, more and more temptations in the form of bait comes in their way, and they are entrapped thoroughly or completely in this trap, slowly with the passage of time. Yes, coming to the next question, question number 6. Harjot. Yes, beta, Harjot.
The peddler comes out as a person with subtle sense of humor. How does this serve in lightening the seriousness of the theme of the story and also endearing him to us? The peddler has a good sense of humor, and this diffuses the seriousness of the theme of the story. Although he was a vagabond in pursuit of food and shelter, he found time to meditate on his philosophies and draw pleasure from the anticipated miseries of the other people. He imagined people he knew to have landed in the trap and of others who were still circling around the bait. The humor is brought out when at every occasion he lapsed into his theory of the rat trap. When his identity was discovered by the Iron Master, he said that a day would arrive when the Iron Master too might chase a big piece of pork and get caught in the trap, still revealing how he had held to to his sense of humor till the end.
Yes, very good explanation. I am in doubt that we are reading from some book. Okay. Give your original language when you're discussing the questions. What do you feel about the idea mentioned in the chapter? So here we are told that the peddler comes out as a person with a subtle sense of humor. How does this serve in lightening the seriousness of the theme of the story and also endear him to us? It's quite true that the sense of humor shown by the peddler in the story lightens the seriousness of the theme. Our theme, that is that goodness of a human being can be awakened through kind, sympathetic, compassionate attitude. And as the story moves forward, we start liking this person, the peddler, and it makes also endear him to us, endear to him to us. That means we start liking him. We like his character, that he was a good person. We have little bit sympathy for that man also, and that is endearing. It makes him endearing to us. So how we can say that a peddler comes out as a person with a subtle sense of humor? We have the example in the story when he moved from the peddler's house after from the crofter's house after stealing the money. He knew this thing that he would be caught, and he wanted to get shelter there, and he wanted to move away from the society. That's why he went into the woods. And in the beginning, he discussed about this word when he was talking about the people, that the word was not good to him. So he was also thinking bad about the word. This is a humorous fact. दुनिया उसके बारे में अच्छा नहीं सोचती है, तो वो भी दुनिया के बारे में अच्छा नहीं सोचेगा. जैसे कि he was taking we can say giving a threat and challenge, उनसे बदला ले रहा था, revenge ले रहा हो, जैसे in that way he talks. And then he tells us that there are some people who are already entrapped in this rat trap of the word, and some are circling around the bait and going to be entrapped. It's a very funny thing. इसकी ऑब्जर्वेशन क्या थी जो कि हमें सेंस ऑफ ह्यूमर क्रिएट करती है मन में. We feel funny about this thing or the idea that he conveys कि कुछ लोग तो ऑलरेडी इस वर्ड के रेड ट्रैप पे फंस चुके हैं और कुछ जो है वो बेट के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं, एंड दे आर गोइंग टू बी entrapped, इसमें फंसने वाले हैं. And then what happens? He realized when he was in the forest, he reached in the forest, that it was his turn now. Now he himself was entrapped in that rat trap of the world, because he had stolen the money and he was attracted by the bait that was kept by the crofter on the window frame in the pouch, the money that was kept. So it's a funny situation that has been created. So it was a subtle sense of humor that the peddler possesses, which makes the seriousness of the theme, which is very heavy and serious theme, and makes light to that theme. And at the end of the story, we see his character raised to the level of a captain and showing the great respect and honor to that girl who had treated him as a captain, given him respect, given him food and shelter, and we start liking this type of character. So the statement is correct, that his sense of humor lightens the theme, and he becomes an endearing character, loving character of the readers. Okay, coming to the next part. Discuss the following topics. First one is the reader's sympathies with the peddler right from the beginning of the story. Why is this so? Is the sympathy justified? Yes, raise your hands. You would like to answer? Jasmine. Yes, Jasmine, beta.
Yes, ma'am. The reader's sympathy is with the peddler right from the beginning of the story. Why is this so? Is the sympathy justified? The peddler's sympathy is with the peddler from right from the beginning, as the peddler tells us about the world as a rat trap, and he himself tells us that he is using this word for the world because the world is not very kind to him, and so he gave the world an unwanted joy to think ill of it in this way, and it became a cherished pastime of his during many plottings to think people he knew, because people never welcomed him with happiness to their homes,
Beta, just
and
answer the
they
questions given.
always
Just answer
and they
those
never agree
questions.
to
Please, excuse me, Beta.
come to never agree to. Yes, ma'am.
Just answer those questions. Why is this so? That means why we have sympathy from the very beginning with the peddler. And is it right to have sympathy? Is it justified? Just answer in brief to these questions.
Ma'am, please repeat the question.
Questions are given in the book, beta. The same question I'm asking. Instead of going in the detail, we just concentrate on this part. Quite natural that if it is a long question, you will prove those points. But what you will say here, why is this so? That means why the reader's sympathy is with the peddler right from the beginning of the story. Why we feel sympathetic with this peddler from the very beginning of the story, and is the sympathy justified? Are we right if we have sympathy with the peddler from the very beginning of the story?
Ma'am, the author is right from the beginning. He's in sympathy, but this is not justifies at it. The peddler proved it wrong, because the Iron Master believed on him, but he cheated him. So the writer's sympathy is not justified. We should not believe, as he has cheated with the Iron Master also, but he has believed him.
Okay, anyone else who goes against this idea? You can give the answer in yes or no. She says it is not justified. We have sympathy from the very beginning with the peddler. As the story starts, we come to know about his financial condition. We are a little bit sympathetic for him. He went to Crofter's house also. Then he went to the Iron Master, looking at his attitude, and at the end, what he did, gifted Adla. She says this simply is not justified because he was stealing, he was cheating the persons, just like Iron Master. He did not tell truth, so it is not justified. We should not have sympathy for these type of persons and the strangers. Yes. Now I have Ketan Sethi. What is your opinion, beta? Do you want to
Ma'am,
say yes or no?
ma'am, I think the sympathy is justified.
It's
As we can see, the world was not kind to him from the beginning, and he was frustrated from the act of this world. But when we see at the end of the story, the Iron Man's daughter, she acted kindly with him, and the behavior of the peddler changes then.
Okay.
And so we can see that when people are kind to other people, then the second person also shows kindness.
Yes. Gurveer, you want to say something else? You're also raising hand. Your opinion, whether it is
Yes,
justified
ma'am.
or not?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I think the sympathy is justified because if we see from the beginning, the world was not very kind to the paddler, so he was not treated well. So that's why he chose to steal and beg to earn his livelihood. But later on, when the girl acted really kindly to him, he in return acted in the same way.
Yes. Here we can't say that yes or no के बीच में हम question को right or wrong कहेंगे. You can answer in these type of critical questions according to your own opinion, but you have to justify your mind. ठीक है? आपके जो long questions critical way में ऐसे questions होते हैं, उसको आप case based studies भी कह सकते हो, या आप कोई real life situations को इसके साथ add कर सकते हो. Here you can give your opinion, but your point should be justified with reasoning and taking examples from the text or some example from the real life. You can link it. Okay. So yes and no, both answers will be welcome, but the marks will be given according to the justification, what you do according to your point and the proofs you attach. Okay. Coming to the next question. Yes, Pranavori. Second question.
Ma'am, the story also focuses on human loneliness and the need to bond with others. And yes, the story also focuses on human loneliness as the peddler firstly moves to the crofter's home. He felt very happy because he was not at all having any company with anyone. So he behaved very good with him, and shared all his
Not
secrets
audible, beta. Sorry.
with
Not able to listen to your voice. It's very slow, low
him.
volume.
And in the second time when the Iron Master met him, so he and his daughter was also suffering from loneliness from a long time, and they want someone to celebrate. So the story also depicts human loneliness.
Yes, beta. I got disconnected in between. I was not able to listen some of your points, but I think you gave the idea about all the characters that they were suffering from loneliness, and we get the idea of human loneliness from the character of the crofter, then from the Iron Master, and then from Edla Wilmanson also. So in this way, we got the idea that all these characters were suffering from the problem of loneliness, and they wanted to have company of someone, especially on the particular days as it was a Christmas Eve, and they wanted to have the company, Iron Master as well as Edla Wilmanson. And this is as the need to bond with others. That means we want to live with bond, to have binding with each other. Human beings should have binding with each other. So in this way, in the story, we find all this theme running throughout the story: human loneliness and the need to bond with others. So if you have the long question, you can explain along with the different characters how this problem was. Here, next, coming to the third question. Third question: have you known or heard of an episode where a good deed or an act of kindness has changed a person's view of the world? Yes, any story you have read or heard anywhere? Can you make the reference of that? The same idea or the theme? Yes, anyone? Come forward. Any story, any idea that giving you the same meaning? Yes, Harshita Gandhi. Harshita. Guntej. Guntej. Please come forward and express your views. Participate in the discussion. Yes, Norman. Norman, have you ever heard or listened any story? Do you know any story about this theme? Yes, Norman. No answer. Very bad, beta. If you don't participate in the discussion, how will I come to know? Same hands coming. Yes, Gurvi, beta. Let's finish it. We are left with 2 minutes. Yes, Gurvi, beta.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, this one incident Satpal ma'am told us in a previous class. So she told us that how she used to travel in her college days in bus with her friends, and they used to eat peanuts a lot, and her other friends used to throw the shells in the bus itself, but she used to keep a polythene and collected all the wastage in that. and she a lot of times she tried to stop them, but but it didn't work. They used to do the same, but then she started doing it in front of them. She used to collect their wastage as well into her polythene, and later on they realized their mistake themselves and they started doing the same.
Okay. Anyone else who wants to share? As I told you in the very beginning, there is a story, The Bishop's Candlesticks. That is also showing the same idea. There is a bishop, was a religious person, and there was a convict. He ran away from the prison and he took shelter in the house of the bishop. There he saw his silver candlesticks. Candles के stand बना हुआ था, that was made of silver and it was gifted to him by his mother. Bishop की mother ने उसको ऐसे gift दिया हुआ था. No, mother was no more. And in the room where the convict was kept, he was provided everything, food, shelter, bed, etc. And he saw those candlesticks lying on the shelf. And the idea came in his mind to steal those candlesticks and run away from that place. Because he was a thief, he had run away from the prison already. Police was following him, trying to search him. And what happens? This idea came in his mind and he ran away with those silver candlesticks. By the time the police also came, chasing him, trying to find him out. When they asked the bishop about the convict, he said he did not know anything about him. No one has come here. After a few minutes, he got a message from the police that the convict has been caught, and from him, those candlesticks have been found, which belong to bishop. Someone told that these were the candlesticks of the bishop, and he might have stolen from your room. But what was the answer given by bishop at that time to the police? That he has gifted these candlesticks himself to that convict. उसने नहीं ये कहा कि वो चुरा कर लेकर गया है. उसने क्या कहा कि उसने वो कैंडलस्टिक्स उसको खुद गिफ्ट करी थी. And what happened after that? The convict came himself to return those candlesticks to the bishop. So we find here again the goodness awakened by the sympathetic and kind attitude of the bishop. So it's a long play. You can read it out if you want. It's a long play with the bishop's candlesticks. So this is another example or the story that you can refer here. Okay. Now coming to the last question, the story is both entertaining and philosophical. Yes. What is your view? Do you feel the story entertaining and philosophical, giving you some very deep idea? Yes, students, come forward, beta. Not coming forward and raising hands. Again, same students are there. Yes, Kavya, Akul, Damanpreet. But I am giving you chance to all. Don't say afterwards that you were not getting the chance. You should come forward and raise your hands to take part in the discussions. These are the critical questions and you have to give your own opinion here. Yes, rest of the students, no hand raised. Only would be